So as we're called to make disciples and we know where God has sent us, right, and we have this context that we're living on mission and engaging culture, sometimes it's good for us to know, like, how do we actually do that? Like, what does it practically look like to engage culture and be good news in an environment? So one of the simple tools that we've helped create is something called BLESS, BLESS, just an acronym that really we think of more in terms of rhythms of life than a checklist of activities. So B is begin in prayer, right? All the activating prayer tools that we've talked about in Novo circles, begin to really engage in those. L stands for listen, right? Listen and engage. Create cultures where you can actually be a really good question asker, right? That you can rub shoulders with people maybe in the context that God's called you to. So think of maybe fire pits in the front yard or happy hour with people or having people over for dinner, whatever it looks like to create space to listen and ask good questions. E is eat. Really, it's another form of L, right? It's really it's my favorite, right? You just create environments where you have people over for dinner. Or maybe you go grab coffee with someone, or like I said before, a happy hour. There's something about actually sitting down with people and eating food together that creates open environments to talk about spiritual things. The next one is S, for serve. And some of that is just straightforward. Like, how do you become really good news? How do you help people? How do you love people? What are some tangible things that you can be good news in the environments that God called you? And the last S stands for story. How do you begin to share good Jesus stories? And by story, I'm not talking about like a 3-minute testimony. I'm talking about maybe simple questions to ask, maybe spiritual statements to drop. Maybe you talk about prayer, right? You ask someone if you can pray for them. Maybe you say something really quickly about what you learned the other day when you're reading the Bible, right? So you begin to actually live out the blessed rhythms in your life. Then you're actually going to be able to find persons of peace and spiritually interested people to invite them to discover more about Jesus.